Hi, so I'm Mark South. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Double 11. We're a video games publisher and developer based in England. We're roughly about 100 people right now. And in the studio at the moment, we have Minecraft Dungeons we're working on with Microsoft and Mojang. We have Rust that we're working on with the guys at Facepunch. And we have Prison Architect that we're working on with Paradox. So for our second office, we wanted something that was in this time zone. So we're in England, and we wanted something where we could have more continuous development. So it was a question of what country at that point. And we met the guys at MDEC. We're a very passionate group of people, and they were quite keen to obviously talk to us about what our plans were, and what we've learned through them and what we've come to see over time. And we've been talking for a few years now. Is that Malaysia has a very, when it comes to the digital economy, has a very rich ecosystem and a very strong ecosystem between the government, businesses, and the universities. I think more than anything, it's been their support that MDEC have provided for us. We are applying for MSc status that gives some benefits to the company. That's in progress, but principally it's about kind of understanding exactly what's here in the ecosystem. That's been the biggest support, and they've been helping us through that. That's a good question. I think in terms of encouraging more companies to come, they're doing the right things. I think they're doing quite a lot to show what the industry is doing here. They're showcasing it quite well. They run Level Up, which is a fantastic show. So I actually think they're doing the right things. Haha, right, okay, that's great. So this is my second time here. Yeah, and I've been here now this is my second week. And obviously I'm meeting more people and stuff. And I think like the best thing, I'll go and I don't have one. How about that? So I have a few things. One, I love where our office is. So our office is in Bangsar South. It's great. It's a wonderful building. There's loads of creatives there. There's loads of places to get like really nice food. And then when you step out of the office, the first thing you notice is the weather. And obviously coming from England, it's nice to have some warmth. That's been lovely. And we've had a chance to do a bit of like touring around Kuala Lumpur and stuff. And the food has been lovely. The people are wonderful. I love the multicultural aspect of the city. It's a lovely place. Yes, we have the rain in common. The difference is here is that you guys are prepared for it. You have like these nice shelters. A lot of buildings have awnings that you can stand under it. I think in England sometimes we don't think we need these things. And there's lots of covered walkways you can take. I love that. I feel like there's always a place you can run to if it starts raining. So our relationship with Sony began because the people who founded our company were very technical people. We started doing a lot of very technical work, and we were quite known for that. So I think when you have, like when you take your passion and you built it up and you turned it into a strong skill set, we came in quite experienced. So I would say it's quite uncommon for that to happen. But of course, I think in this industry, it's about playing to strengths. It's about understanding what you're good at, and understanding what other people are good at, and seeing how you can collaborate. So it doesn't necessarily have to be working with a big multinational. It could just be working with another team who's particularly good at something where you think it makes sense to work together. So the studio that we're building here in Malaysia, it's here to be its own thing. So initially when it starts, we want it to help support the games we obviously have in development right now, which makes sense because there are games in development. But we, much like when we started, we didn't know that we'd be in Malaysia 10 years later setting up a new studio. We couldn't have seen that coming when we started. So I think it's the same thing for this studio here. Charting the course for it past a certain point doesn't make much sense. We need to let it grow organically and see what it does. We have every expectation it'll be successful, and we're taking our time to build it correctly. So that means not necessarily putting any limits on what it should and shouldn't be doing. Right, so in terms of how many people we want in the office, going back to a point I made previously, it's not something we want to prescribe. we know that we want to build a team that's quite close knit, and they trust each other and they work well together, and slowly build that out organically. So there's not something that we want to necessarily put a limit on in terms of numbers. So undeniably, as a publisher, you can't help but look at all the games that are being developed out here. It's exciting. There's no question of it. I'm very curious as well too. When I see teams working on things and I start to ask how things work, and you see the energy and the excitement, it's addictive actually. But I think the reality is, from our point of view, we already have a pretty big undertaking setting up our development studio here first. And once we get that right, then, in my mind, it's definitely something that we can think about for the future. So the Best Place to Work award is a really cool one, because it's not just based on an application, it's also part survey from our staff. So it's an anonymous staff survey. We have no input into it, so they can be as honest as they want to be. So we were really pleased to win that. That says that that we're doing some things right, and that was quite cool for us. And I think I think a part of that is how we view our relationship with staff. Fundamentally, it's like an equation. So we're here to all work together. We're going in one direction. We're making games, and hopefully we enjoy doing it as well too. And sometimes you get a curveball thrown at you, like overtime or crunch, as when it gets quite busy. And the question is, what do you do about it as an employer? So for us, for example, we recognize that this is not optimal. It's not something we want to continue, and we recognize the imbalance by paying our staff the overtime. So we'll pay them for the time, and we also recognize the fact that just because we're paying them for it doesn't mean it's okay. It's just a way of compensating them for the fact that they have to work some extra hours. So there's things like that we do to make life a little bit more comfortable for people at work. Obviously, there's perks for working in the company. We like to have flexible hours as well too. So if you do have children and you need to leave to pick them up from school, or you need a longer lunch because you have an appointment, we try to be flexible with people's time, because we don't want to inconvenience them any more than we need to. But at the same time, obviously, there's work to do. So it's always getting that balance right, and I think that's what brought us to winning the awards in 2017 and 2018. So when it comes to crunch, the question is it a necessary evil, or is it avoidable? You have to take a step back. It's a creative industry. No matter what, sometimes you don't know, with the best will in the world, how long something will take. Or maybe you make something and realize this could be done better. You start over. Or you don't start over, you find some point where you can go back to and you work it up. There's this inherent thing in making creative products that you will always reflect on it, and that reflection obviously comes at a time and money costs. So inevitably in the system there's a need for more resource. The question is, what do you do with that, and how do you balance that? And I think it starts by doing a couple things to make sure you don't end up into really bad positions. So first of all, take on projects you know you can do a good job of. And that's one of the things that's important to us. If you look at all the games we work on, the common thread, Goat Simulator, Prison Architect, Rust, Minecraft, Dungeons, they're completely different in terms of genres and pretty much in every dimension you could imagine. But the common thread is we think we can do a good job on them. That's the important thing. So we're using our skill sets correctly, and we're playing to our strengths as a studio. That's important. The next point is, for me, is continually improving your processes. You learn when you do something once. You learn from it. And although the second time it's not like the first time because it's always new, you do know a little more. So as the studio gains more experience, you're better able to plan, and you're better able to add contingency, and like actual contingency, not just a made up number, but something where you can say, right, well, if this doesn't work out the way we want, at least we have another opportunity to do it again. If we don't get a chance to have something out to players now, we can do it again in a month and it's okay. We'll just do it this way. So I always talk to people about thinking slowly when it comes to your business. Thinking, when you make games, they're very considered. You put every attention of detail into how the game works, how it plays, what it looks like. That level of rigor you can also apply to your business as well too in your planning. It's important that when you're investing so much and so many people are putting their time and energy and all their passion and love into a project, that the best thing you can do is offer them a structure to work within, to go, guys, this is the plan how we're going to get here, and that this is me taking everything you care about and putting it on a direction for you. And if you treat that with the same respect, inevitably you will reduce the amount of overtime, of crunch, of things that compromise a work-life balance. You might not remove it, and you probably won't remove it, but you'll definitely improve it significantly. So with respect to diversity, it's safe to say that it is absolutely integral to the games industry. I think of diversity as bringing different life experiences to the table. And what you bring is it shows in your work. It's an expression of how you grew up, the things you watched on TV, just the friends you grew up with, even the kind of neighborhood you grew up with. It all kind of shapes who you are. And in the games industry, it's so important to have that different perspective, to have multiple perspectives. So for us, it's very important. I think the industry is safe to say that we recognize that as something that's very important. And it's something we're looking to continually improve in the company. There's no question about that. And I think when coming to Malaysia, it's nice to see that it's a very multicultural society. I think we really enjoy that. And it's interesting to meet people from different backgrounds and see how they even got into the games industry, because almost everyone has a different story. So it's incredibly important. And in multiracial countries like Malaysia, it's great to see that the variation of people coming into the universities and then coming to apply for us. It can only mean good things for our studio in the future. Okay, so there's not a lot I can say at the moment. That project is a project that belongs to Microsoft principally. They're the publisher for the game, and so we let them do all the speaking about it. Obviously, we're super excited to see the game come out this year, and we look forward to continuing with Mojang and working on it in the future. I think when I think about like IPs I'd like to work on, I think throughout the last 10 years in the company, we've got to work on so many different projects. We've met so many different creatives that care about very different things on their projects. It's quite exciting just to know what it is that matters to them, and we try to preserve that. So for me, there's no one IP I would say that I'd be really passionate about going for. There's quite a few that I think are interesting to us, and a lot of times it comes from within the team as well too, in terms of what they think we should be talking about. So it's certainly not just me driving that by any means. And there's so many cool things in the industry, and what you find every year is that there's a host of new games coming out. I mean, if you look on Steam alone, there's almost 10,000 games that come out a year. So chances are there's some pretty good things in there, and it's more a question of finding them than anything else.